But yo, for real though, I appreciate you, man. Like I said before, you know, obviously I've been a big fan, but you've also been a great friend.
You definitely, between you, it's only two of y'all for me that I really rock with. That's you and my brother Soonaz from the school. Y'all my favorite journalists, and y'all both on two different sides, but y'all have the same type of aesthetic when it comes to how y'all get down. Yeah. Like, he's really about that shit. You know what I'm saying? He asks inner questions, so that's what I like about y'all two. Y'all my favorite two. Everybody else be just, you know, DRing, you know.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. So, as you know, I'm working on a piece that's looking at Islam and hip hop.
Right.
And so I've got several interviews that have been lined up. Half have been done. And this one was really important to me because of the insight you always provide me when I have any questions that are around five percenters, that I have any questions around Islam and hip hop. So my first question for you is, when did you become a 5%er, or how did you become a 5%er?
Well, I would say it was a gradual thing that I observed from the time that I would say around 8 or 9, before I even knew what Islam was or what a 5%er was. My uncle Frankie, rest in peace, he was in and out of prison at the time. This is around 85, 80s. Yeah, like around 85, I would say, because I was real young, real young, because I was so young that when he started teaching me, when he started telling me, like, there's a degree, one of the 28 degrees in the lessons where, you know, it talks about the manufacturing of Yaqub and whatnot, right? And what had happened was, I was in the doctor's office with my grandmother, waiting for her, and you know how in the waiting room they have all these like magazines. Back in the day, you used to always have like the magazines and like the doctor areas and stuff. So it'd be like magazines about health or whatever, right? But it'd be like a bunch of Christian magazines too, right? So I would be looking through them, and I would see all these white angel babies, and I would never see no black people, you know, as angels or as in heaven. I had never seen no painting of us in heaven. All I seen was white people in heaven. So as a kid, that used to bother me, like, you know, because I was, you know, when I'm coming into this earth, I would consider myself a very great kid. And to have something like that imposed on you can be traumatic if you're not taking it the right way. I can only imagine how many young kids who might have parents under that doctrine that grow up feeling like they're really just cursed. They're cursed people, you know what I'm saying, that they're going to hell. They're automatically, like, you automatically going to hell, especially if you look like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, you definitely, if you would have told me when I was 5 and 6 that a person like you made it into heaven, like, get the fuck out of here. He the last person to get to heaven, right? So that's just because, and that ain't even off no teachings, that's just off art, just off looking at pictures of what people consider where you go to the afterlife and you don't see nobody that looks like you. That's a form of racism in itself, you know what I'm saying? So it was bothering me, and one day I asked my uncle, I was like, yo, man, I was like, do all black people go to hell? And he was like, why you asking me that? And I was like, because I don't never see no pictures of us as angels or none of that shit, you know what I'm saying? And then he was like, let me tell you something. And he just started going into this whole thing about technology and how white supremacy overshadowed our history and who they really are and how they came to be, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't even explain to me where he got that from. I was just, because he's my uncle, so I'm just taking it in. So I had that in me until, like, I would say like 88 or 89. I never knew what it was about. And then, you know, as I got older, around 12, that's when the conscious pro-black era came out. You start seeing all the conscious T-shirts with people's faces on, like Malcolm X, Farrakhan, Mandela. Mandela had just got out from from the 27 years that he did. It had a picture of Elijah Muhammad. And I was like, yo, as a kid, I was like, who is this dude right here? Because he looked like he could have drove. He looked like he could have drove one of those spaceships in Star Wars or something. You know what I mean? I'm like, who is this dude? He got to be the illest. Because yeah, Marcus Garvey, Farrakhan. I didn't know who Farrakhan was either, but it was Elijah. And then my cousin came from Mississippi. I asked him, who is this? Because nobody would ever tell me. And I was like, who is this dude right here? He was like, that's Elijah Muhammad. And I was like, who was that? And he's like, you know about Malcolm X. And then it seemed like right around, everything started just happening. The Malcolm X movie came, everybody started reading Malcolm X books. The music was a certain way. I had already been through the Rakim phase, but we still wasn't that, a lot of people like to say that, make it like Rakim. Rakim definitely was the first physical 5%er that you could see in the game, right? But for me, Paid in Full didn't do that for me because I didn't know what he was talking about. Even when he said all praise is due to Allah and that's the best, I didn't know nothing about that. It was just, I might have thought he said Allah like A-L-A-W at that time. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? 360 degrees. Gee, I'm 9 years old. I'm not. That's going way over my head, right? By the time '88 came, though, and I had read Autobiography of Malcolm X and whatnot. My brother Raheem, who was part of the Nation of Islam, he was an FOI lieutenant, and he sold books. So I would buy a lot of conscious books from him. He would have like a newsstand, like a stand with a tent in the hood, always selling books. I miss that type of stuff. And then I would see him selling Final Calls, and I was like, oh, he's one of those Muslim dudes. And I'm like, yo, I want to know what they know. So I just started asking him, can I go to the classes with him? And I started going to the FOI classes for a little bit. That only lasts a little bit because you got to understand this is during my growth and development. And another thing, I didn't have parents putting me in this. This is me organically doing this just because I'm interested. You know what I'm saying? But I was still in the streets at that time too. So, you know that weird junior high stage, you're just figuring yourself out, your hormones just running crazy. You know what I mean? Everything at once. So this is 88, 89. I'm in junior high school. So I would consider that like my FOI stage, where I was kind of like finding myself and learning about who I was, learning a few little things, because I wasn't there that long. I'm not gonna sit there in front like I was just part of the FOI like that. I went through to a few classes when I was young. I was making music at that time too. So that, I want to say my 9th grade year, it either was my 9th grade year or it was my 10th grade year. It was my 10th grade year. Like 92, 91, 92. Supreme, my man Supreme, at that time he wasn't Supreme yet, he was Demont. He became Supreme. And he told me that the black man was God one day downtown, where all the high school kids would kind of get off the bus, the transit from all different schools. We would kind of like meet downtown by the courthouse. And he told me that, man, and that was like an electric bolt, because we was being taught that it was like I had heard that, but we was still like, Master Farad was, the guy. That's how I was taking it at that time, But even that's a whole nother story. But how I got that was like a crack fiend getting his first hit of crack. And then he gave me Supreme Mathematics and he gave me Supreme Alphabet. And it's been a rap ever since. The foundation of what we teach is Supreme Mathematics. You know what I'm saying? And it's simple enough for a 3rd grader to understand. Your babies can learn this. It's not nothing really like super scientific unless you make it super scientific. You could take this as far as you want to go. You know what I'm saying? I could drop you off in the middle of space and come back to Earth and leave you there, but that ain't how we do this. We don't shove stakes down people's throats. You know what I'm saying? And for those, and I know the next question is, go ahead, ask me, what is a 5%er?
Yeah, what's a 5%er? Well,
the thing about that is, the thing about being a 5%er, I always say, first you got to ask, what's opposite of a 5%er? You know what I'm saying? So if it's 5% out of what? Out of 100, right? So you would have to ask yourself, who's the 85%, right? The 85%, we would say that they are the uncivilized, people, poison, animal eaters, slaves of a mental death and power. You know what I'm saying? People who do not know who the true and living God is, nor their origin in this world, and they worship which they not know of. Those who are easily led in the wrong direction and hard to lead in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? Those are the 85%. That's like 85% of the population, the people that watch news and commercials that believe every does this drug, are you having this problem? Take this pill. Those are the people that just willingly take it because they just believe anything. You know what I'm saying? They want to follow something. The deaf, dumb, and blind. Now the 10%ers, these are the ones that Nick Cannon had a problem with. These are the ones he's fighting against. Who is the 10%, Age? 10%. The rich slave makers of the poor, who teach the poor lies to believe that the almighty true and living God is the spook and cannot be seen with the physical eye, otherwise known as bloodsuckers of the poor. That's the 10%ers. Those are your yes, Lord, put this in the collection plate, and your grandma go back home with no knowledge of how to cure diabetes, with no knowledge of how to get her finances together so she won't be under the jurisdiction of somebody to oppress her, with none of that information to get you out of the situation. That's why Elijah Muhammad back in the day, he said, sit yourself in heaven at once. Only you can save yourself. And then the final question is, who is the 5% on this poor part of the planet Earth, right? They are the poor righteous teachers. Why are we the poor righteous teachers? Because we come to people as they are. There ain't no big eyes and little U's. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that we're poor. So people that hear that terminology, poor righteous teachers, that doesn't mean that we're some bummy dudes with holes in our shirts, running around saying, peace, my brother. You don't need no money, because that ain't how I got this. The gods that I seen growing up was fly. So they are the poor righteous teachers who do not believe in the teachers of the 10% who are all wise and civilized, who are all wise and know who the true and living God is, and teach that the almighty true and living God is the Son of Man, the supreme being, the black man of Asia, who teaches freedom, justice, and equality. You know what I'm saying? To all the human families of the planet Earth, otherwise known as civilized people, also as Muslim and Muslim sons. So what does that say? Civilized people, otherwise known as civilized people. That does not mean just black people, right? It means civilized. We are pro-righteous. We are not pro-black, because pro-black can get you caught up in some shit. We know that everybody that's black is not for us. So if you're going under a color thing, you're going to lose that way if you're not going off of righteousness and civilization. I would take a civilized person over a tough guy any day. You understand what I'm saying? So that's who we are as the 5%ers. We're about truth. You know what I'm saying? Truth and equality for everybody, though, really. Because the truth will set you free. If the white man, so-called white man, because I'm not going to just blatantly say, if the so-called white man knew his history, just like if our people knew our history, it would most likely be a more civilized society. You know what I'm saying? It's not a big deal or nothing new to know that all sciences, math, arithmetic, all that stuff come from us because we're the original people. It's in our DNA. That's why we do certain things a certain way. You know what I'm saying? If people would sit back and respect the earth, you know what I'm saying? Really, if you respect the original people on the earth, we will be in heaven. We could be in heaven. So you got to ask yourself, when I say devil, who is the opposite of nature? And that doesn't mean whoever is the opposite of nature and against nature is devil, whether they like it or not. If you do things that are negative to the planet and subtracting from the planet, subtracting life from the planet, subtracting positive energy from the planet, you're against the planet, because the planet is based on positive and negative working at the same time. But that's another conversation too. But we talking about positivity. God borns build or destroy. I can either build with you or I can destroy with you. It's my decision. You know what I'm saying? And out of that decision is going to determine what is my nature. Am I known for building or am I known for destroying? You know what I'm saying? That's why God, you got to be careful even with the word God. See, God is a Greek word. You understand what I'm saying? God can build or destroy. You understand what I'm saying? So, but Allah is different. You know what I'm saying? It's levels to this, you know what I'm saying? So that's why we say Allah is the God, because Allah is the one who perfected this science and lived it and walked it out, so we can live it today. And you see the influences, whether it's hip hop, whether it's dudes in sports, whether it's just, you know, the random people in your neighborhood that got any kind of information, all that comes from the gods. And this thing, we wouldn't be right here having a hip hop conversation with all those posters. Every picture that's in back of you right now has been affected by the nation of the gods and earth, or Allah's 5% nation. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the proof is in the pudding. You judge a tree by the fruit that it bears.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So that's a lot.
Yo, there's that. I don't know if you've seen the Wu-Tang American Saga. I think it's called Wu-Tang American Saga.
Yeah.
The Hulu show, the scripted show.
Right.
And then there's that scene where they're in Texas, and someone confronts RZA, and he didn't know what the day's math was. And then later he did his research, he did his knowledge, and then he came back and he started, you know, being able to, you know, drop whatever today's math was. How do you do the math? Like, what does that mean? Like, what's the day's mathematics mean for people who don't understand that?
Well, mathematics, we have 9 numbers. It's 9 numbers in mathematics. Everything after the 9 is a compository number. 9 borns everything. So to take it from knowledge to born, those are different steps to reality. Knowledge being the observation and the thought. So we say knowledge is to know, listen, observe, and respect. And it's also the foundation of everything in existence, right? Just like the sun is the foundation of the solar system and man the foundation of his family. That's the first degree in the mathematics. The first number in the mathematics, 1, knowledge, right? Because without knowledge, if the foundation is weak, if the foundation to the house is weak, it's going to fall. You can't build a house with a weak foundation, right? So the foundation of everything that we do is knowledge. Somebody had to draw out the plans in order for this Zoom app to work. Before we actually using it, somebody had to put that on a piece of paper. They had to have the knowledge of how the inner workings of technology works for us to be able to talk to each other right now. Even though we're using it loosely, like, hey, it's just another app. Somebody actually put their brain power to that. So that's the knowledge. The understanding is us right here being able to actually visualize each other, to see each other, right? The wisdom, the knowledge was the foundation, which is him putting it down on paper. The wisdom is him actually working on the project, you know, when you're seeing him put the screws and bolts in, right? The understanding, which is the best part, is us being able to look at each other on the screen right now. That's why we say the best part. Just like you were born out of your father and your mother, a combination of your father and mother, the best parts between that man, which is the knowledge where the sperm comes from, because the sperm don't just pop up in the egg. And I don't want to hear none of that new stuff that they talk about women having babies by themselves. Until I see a woman have a baby by herself, I don't want to hear that shit. You come from your father, out of his brain, down his spine, into your mother. It took all the information from her, the best parts, the best parts of him, got rid of all the other stuff, made you. And, you know, determining whether the feminine or the masculine energy was going to be strong is how you got here, right? So you're the understanding. That's why we say the babies are the greatest, right? The babies are the greatest. Freedom, culture, you're free to live your culture once you understand who you are. See, once you understand who you are, that is your culture. The understanding of who you are should be your culture. Because culture or freedom, you should be free to live your culture. You know what I'm saying? If you got this free though, right? And once you got this free and have the culture, what do we do with culture? We have the power, because everybody else around the world has power because they have a solid culture. And what is power? The truth. The truth that one possesses, right? And that's why they always say that the truth shall set you free, right? That's why you got a lot of prideful people, because they have a culture. I'm this, I'm that, because they've established themselves, you know what I'm saying, with their truth. You know what I'm saying? That's the possession. And ain't nobody got more truth than the original black man who possesses the knowledge of himself, because you are the sole control of all this. So once you figure out who you are, then you will have the keys to unlock, so you can show the rest of the world your equality, which is number 6, knowledge plus wisdom plus understanding. The number 6, man, woman, and child, is dealing with equality. That's dealing with the universe, because you have the sun in the center, you have all the planets, and you have all the stars. That represents the universe, the universal aspects. When you're dealing with equality, that's why when you look at the nation of the gods and the earths, our universal flag with the 7 in the middle, the moon as basically like the throne of I look at it like the throne of Asar, never above, but right with the black man, and the star, which is the child right there, that's representing the universal aspect and equality, because the sun gives off a certain amount of light to all the planets with equality, and they all getting the proper amount of light to be able to orbit around the sun. Now, that shows and proves who's the supreme God, Allah, because that's the dominant factor, the 7, you know what I'm saying? That 7, which borns build to destroy, because let's not forget, the sun, as much as it helps things on the planet grow, it can kill you too. You know what I'm saying? The sun can kill you too. It can build or destroy. And I'm giving it to you just as simple as how I look at it.
Yeah.
Build or destroy. Building is to add on to your circumference, to your cipher, which is person, place, or thing, your family, your peoples. You either building with them or you destroying with them. You either adding positivity into your life, or you taking away from your life. You know what I'm saying? And you know what's best for you. You know when you doing something right and you doing something wrong. You either building or you destroying. And once you understand those principles, you're able to bring things to an existence through the number 9, which is born, because only born can born. See, 9 times 2, 18, 8 plus 1, 9, 9 times 3, 27, 2 plus 7, 9, and it goes on and on. 9 times 9, 81, 9. You know what I'm saying? 9 born's born. You can't get around that, because only born can born. You know what I'm saying? We bring things to life. GE, we bring good things to life. I've been saying that since I was young. Like, yo, I always felt like General Electric kind of knew who the gods and earths were. It's like G&E, gods and earths. We bring good things to life. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is, man. It's universal knowledge, you know?
I've never made that connection before with GE though. That's kind of funny. That puts,
right?
that puts that whole ad campaign into a whole nother paradigm. Right. You know, I feel like, I mean, you made reference to the albums behind and how the impact that 5%ers, Nation of Gods and Earth had on the culture is undeniable. I don't feel that same pull within where hip hop is today, where rap music is today, as opposed to that. What do you think happened with either, you know, hip hop's relationship with 5%ers or just 5%ers in general?
I think the same thing that happened to hip hop, kind of like, it's like a cycle of what kind of happened in history. Like, you know, when you talk about the great fall of Egypt, right? How they were doing all those great things at first, you know, building pyramids, all these high sciences, and they started people from outside of Kemet started coming there to study, and we would teach everybody, right? We taught everybody. The Greeks came there, they learned. Everybody came to learn, you know what I'm saying? But what they did with the knowledge was the opposite of what we was on, right? Mm-hmm. So I think when power comes to play, see, power is a tricky thing. A lot of people don't know how to possess the power and know how to hold it and do the right things or do what they're supposed to do with the power. So what happened was our knowledge, that our high sciences and all the things that the original people had, got perverted. Whether people want to admit it or not, the proof is in the pudding. You know, I'm not against nobody, but look at the art on the wall. Look at our paintings on the wall and look at their paintings on the wall. You want to see some pedophilia? Look at Greek paintings. It's a fact. They could be mad all they want about that shit. Even when I was a little boy, I would be like, why is it pictures of naked men with little naked boys? What is this about? I never understood that. You understand what I'm saying? And it would never be like a man and a woman. It'd always be like little boys and just two men or some weird shit to me as a kid. So I feel like the Trinity, from the Holy Trinities, all these different things got perverted. You know what I'm saying? And that's when the colonization started, and you know, the whole high priest thing even is where like I feel like a lot of 10% is snuck in, because when you conceal knowledge, you only leaving room to make slaves out of people. Because a wise man I was told that a wise man ain't hanging around no fool unless he's trying to educate them or enslave them. It ain't no in between. You understand what I'm saying? So they took our knowledge and it started enslaving people around the world. Ended up, you know, years and years of us being chipped at. The same thing that happened in Egypt happened in hip hop. So when you go, you know, 50 years, I ain't even say 100 years from now. 50 years from now, if people like Planet Asia don't save the game, and guys like Rock Marciano and certain artists, and whoever. But 50 years from now, that's what hip hop will be looked at. When you, I mean, damn, if you listen to Follow the Leader right now, or Microphone Fiend, that shit compared to today is like a pyramid. That would be a pyramid in rap. Who's changing? Who do you know? And I ain't talking about popularity, because I think a lot of people get popularity mixed up with like real dominant influence, spiritual influence. When you got a street cat changing how you think spiritually, that's a whole nother wave. You understand what I'm saying? And I feel like for that time, what we consider the golden age of hip hop, like that late 80s thing going into the 90s, and then even up to the 90s, like 93, 94, 95. Right. Those were all, I consider that all that, like the dynasties of like pyramid builders, different high architects, you know what I'm saying? And then it just got dumbed down because our art form, just like the art form in that time, got exposed to the world, and it just got watered down. Because can't nobody build no fucking pyramid today, but we got iPhones, we got all this today, but you still can't build no pyramid. Mm. You can't get no man to go build a pyramid like the pyramids of Giza. Let's just keep it real, right? So that ain't no different than me saying, ain't nobody writing no lyrics of Fury, because y'all don't even think like, y'all don't have the science to write a song like Lyrics to Fury, or even understand why a song like that would even be good. You know, it's like people that be like, so what? They made pyramids back in there. We have wonders of the world right there. You got some people that's interested, but a lot of people don't care. They're like, whatever, I gotta go to work tomorrow. Damn them pyramids. Yeah. But you're gonna die you're gonna die within this reality with this much information. Wow, there were people on the planet with that much information. Right. You know what I'm saying? But everything ain't for everybody either.
Mm. I went to Show and Prove in Harlem, and this had to be 2012, maybe 13. I went there for the first time anyway. And it was my first time being at a 5%er gathering to me, and the energy was palpable. Right. And I was also partly surprised that they still had Show and Prove. Right. Just because just in my life, I hadn't seen as many 5%ers as I used to. My older cousin Shah, he's my Jedi master, and he taught me. Right. He was the one feeding me all the jewels and the knowledge when I was a child, whether it was just life, whether it was rap, or whether it was, the Teachers of Clarence 13X. And, coming up in the 80s and 90s around him and his friends and his family, I just felt like I was surrounded by it. And then it was like 20 years where I just feel like it wasn't the case. Yeah, right? Yeah, like even down to just people I would see, and the language they would use was evolving.
I'm seeing it come back. With this new wave and this new renaissance of what people want to call lo-fi hip hop. Little do people know, a lot of the street cats right now, the young street cats that's doing like what we consider lo-fi hip hop. I'm hearing a lot of 5% slang and a lot of our language is being used again. I'm hearing the word Lord a lot, God, you know, or referencing to somebody that they know might as God, they might know as God, that they get lessons from. You know, I know some brothers I'm not gonna even put out there right now because they studying right now. You know, it's some dudes that right now that I know that's in the underground that that's studying lessons. Matter of fact, shout out to my man Raz Fresco from Canada, from Toronto. He knows 124 with and backwards. That's the young guy right there. That's probably one of the youngest 5%ers in hip hop that I know right now. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, you know, he has like that I don't want to put him in there, but you know, he's in that wave with the Joey Badasses and the, you know, Rome Streets and all, you know, that age bracket, you know what I'm saying? Even actually younger, you know what I'm saying? So it's coming back. I think us as hip hop listeners, I don't think it'll ever be back on like mainstream radio like it used to be. I don't think really nothing is really like that no more. I mean, I think everything has shifted. So I think it's a new surge of younger people that's interested in having knowledge of self. I know I get a lot of questions asked from brothers, you know, what's up with the math? Or some brothers might just even ask me, yo, what's today's math? And I'll be like, well, you want to know that? You know what I'm saying? Then I'll break it down to them and I just give it to them. That's a beautiful thing, man, because this is for the babies, man. Like if this has to get carried on because they could take it to the next level. Every generation takes it to the next level. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when Rakim first came out, I couldn't really comprehend it. When Brand Nubian dropped, it was like they gave it to us straight. You know, if you listen to the song "Wake Up" from Grand Puba, that's basically like the 1 through 36. A lot of the 1 through 36 in our lessons is in that song. So if you listen to just "Wake Up" from Brand Nubian, you're gonna get some, you know, you get some vitamins out of that. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's coming back, man, you know, because I'm seeing it with the whole conscious community, this whole YouTube wave of information, people starting to get into it. I'm seeing a lot of brothers learning about learning the Hebrew Israelite culture and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So it's a big surge.
One thing that I noticed doing the research for my Hip Hop Hates Christian Rap piece was that there's 250 million Christians in this country. And hip hop has always had a weird relationship in the sense of, I guess it goes both ways, meaning a lot of Christians don't like Christian rap because it comes of the world and it's worldly in itself. If it's worldly music, they're not as open to accepting it. And then a lot of Christian rappers run into challenges being accepted by hip hop or general population just because they were talking about Christ in their rhymes, right? And Kanye West broke that whole cipher to me. Like, because I felt like Christian rappers should be doing a lot better financially. They should be huge.
You know why? You know why? Because, see, when you try to be holy, that can fuck shit up to people. Because, you know, when you're not meeting people where they at. Because even in a religion, the only person that's holy is Jesus, right? I don't subscribe to these religions, but I'm saying, like, you're not holy. So you should strive to be righteous and not holy. So I feel like there are Christian rappers out there that's doing it the way Christ would have did it. And I don't think Christ would have been a nice guy. You understand what I'm saying? I think people's perception of Christ is fucked up. Like, they make him out to be this nice ass guy, or like he was cool like that. Yo, Christ would have slapped the fuck out of half of these people running around here claiming his name. You know what I'm saying? Like, bitch, I ain't no soft ass nigga, and I'm not with that pussy fake ass shit that y'all doing, and this feminized up the man ass shit. He definitely wasn't with that shit. This nigga was flipping over tables and telling motherfuckers that they wasn't Jewish. The same shit Nick Cannon was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus, like, y'all niggas ain't Jews. Y'all from the synagogue of Satan. There is no good in you. You're of the devil, and your father's the devil. That's in the Bible. I didn't say the shit. It's in the Bible, right? So I think the problem with commercial Christian rap might not be as received, because I think, you know, a lot of kids can see that shit from a mile away. We know what's genuine and what's not. You know what I'm saying? Killer Priest was I would consider that. I consider Killer Priest an Israelite rapper, right? He the God, but I consider that Israelite rap, right? But nobody, you don't hear people like champion him on, because if you dealing with Killer Priest, you're gonna have to deal with them real Bible verses and the shit that they don't want to hear. But he has a big Jewish following. You know what I'm saying? Little do people know. See, and that's the thing. In the black world, he's not looked at as a Christian rapper, but in the Jewish world, they love Killer Priest. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's what we consider Christian rap. If you're talking about Kirk Franklin style rap, hell no, you ain't gonna never see niggas in the hood bumping that shit. That's never gonna happen, because the innuendos of it is not strong enough for us. You know what I'm saying? Like dancing and happy, nah, man, you scared to go up against something. Like going up against it's easier to go up against an invisible devil than it is to go up against a physical devil.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we just fighting this devil that we can't even see. Behind me, Satan. Nah.
Right.
Behind me, Satan is actually fighting the motherfucking system. Fighting white supremacy.
Why do you think that Islam has been more adaptable to hip hop over the years?
Because of the fact that we for 400 years we was under a colonialized version of Christianity, and that, you know, when Black Islam came to us, it unlocked the doors under the banner of Islam.
Hold on one second, your audio just shifted.
What about now?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, cool. So yeah. I would say when Islam came under, I would say Black Islam came, the science came under the umbrella of Islam to us, to get us away from the colonialized version of Christianity, right? Even though a lot of our peoples were Hebrews and Muslims. See, the problem with Black people in America is that we don't understand that, well, all these things that we consider religions come from us. Isaac and Ishmael came out of the same womb by scripture. They went two ways. One went this way. One is Isaac, which is Israel. Ishmael would be the Muslims. Let's just keep it real. That's what it is. That's why when you look at Arabic language and you look at Hebrew language, it's really no different than how we might talk English in Cali a little bit different than somebody in the South, right? So in Arabic, it's Allah, right? And Hebrew is Elo or Elohim, right? Elohim is plural. They don't like to talk about this either. Elohim is plural. Allahum is plural, right? In Arabic, peace is salam, and Hebrew is shalom. You know what I'm saying? It's similarities in that. They have similarities. They both don't eat pork. They both get circumcised, right? It's just certain things, they have a similar culture. So it's just like that. Those are all our customs, though, that we had from ancient times. They just, where, you know, it's kind of like hip hop. We do different things at different times in our lives. So when you talk about Abraham, Muhammad, all these characters, whether they existed or not, those are ours, dude. Where they come from, the people that they come from, those are all original people. You know what I'm saying? So we got caught up in, oh no, we was Christians first, we was Muslims first, and a lot of us get caught up in that. What were we? We were all of that. We the gods. We invented all that. We Muslims and Christians, whatever you want to call it. We invented all of that because it had the doctrine of God had to keep getting carried on. That tradition of something higher than you exists, we kept that going on. Whether it was Islam or Judaism, G. It's just the outsiders the watered down people that got a hold on it, just like they got a hold of hip hop, and do the bullshit with it. When the real science of it is just freedom, justice, and equality for all human families of the planet Earth. That's what all this is about, man. It's not about suffering while you're living and then getting to heaven when you die. That's what they made us believe. We was in heaven on earth. When you look at heaven in the Bible, it's basically describing Africa before colonization. Gold, Mali, ain't nothing but, it was worth billions of gold in Mali. Honey, we ain't, you know what the honey is, you know what I'm saying? Milk and honey, come on, man. Milk and honey, that's the women. Ain't no better woman than the African woman. Let's keep it 100. So it's like perfect weather. I don't know if you ever been to Africa. I have. It's a lot of places, perfect weather. It's heaven on earth. If you didn't have colonization, if it didn't have people that just wanted to dominate another person, which is a savage way of life, because we didn't do that to the world. Imagine if the people that built the pyramids wanted world domination. We would have had this shit on lock a long time ago, but it's not in our nature to be evil. That's not in our nature. You know what I'm saying? To be totally 100% evil. You know what I'm saying? So Islam and Christianity is basically like, because my whole thing is, you got a lot of Muslims that would say this is not Islam that I'm practicing.
Well, right? Islam and hip hop. Like, why is it more accepted than hip hop?
Because of the gods. Even if you're a Sunni Muslim right now, at one point in time, you was probably influenced by a 5%. And if you wasn't, whoever you was up under as an Orthodox Muslim, they were influenced by somebody that came from either the Nation of Islam or the Nation of Gods and Earth, because there wasn't no outside of the Moors, and they was dealing with a whole nother esoteric science. So when you talk about Orthodox Islam, Warith Deen Muhammad, which is Elijah Muhammad's son, who had probably the biggest Sunni Muslim organization in America, that's Elijah Muhammad's son. He wouldn't have Islam without Elijah. So even if you're an Orthodox Muslim and you black in America, your roots go back to Elijah then, or Noble Drew Ali, or Deuce Muhammad Ali. There was no Islam before that. You know what I'm saying? It's Noble Drew Ali, Elijah and Fard, and Deuce Muhammad Ali first, because Deuce Muhammad Ali was the first to come and do his thing. And matter of fact, people should look up Deuce Muhammad Ali, because he was a very swaggy dude. He was an artist and a philosopher. You know what I'm saying? So he was kind of like he was like hip hop before hip hop. If you want, he lived in France. You know what I'm saying? He moved to Europe. You know what I'm saying? Influenced Islam in America. Come on, G, in the fucking 1800s. Like he was getting busy. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And he was fly. He was getting money, all that. So, you know, all our Islamic roots as far as black people, don't come from some, no disrespect, but they don't come from Saudi Arabia. It come from black men who taught this. You understand what I'm saying? Wasn't no sheiks or whatever coming. Nah, Farah Muhammad, Elijah, Noble Drew Ali, Deuce Muhammad Ali, and as far as today's Orthodox Islam, Warith Deen Muhammad, which would be Elijah Muhammad's son. Rest in all praises, I mean, peace be upon him, because he's not here no more with us. So it all goes back to us, whether they like it or not. Right? And so, and the other side of that, you got the Hebrew Israelite side, you know, with Ben Yahweh and all them, and then you got, you know, can't forget Malachi York, whether people like it or not. He definitely was a big, in the 80s in Brooklyn, you know, Malachi York had a big movement out there. That's where you get your Jay-Z's and the Prodigies and all that. And at that time, it was kind of like a gumbo, because you had like a lot of just mixtures of knowledge in that 88, 89, 90, you know, even like mid-90s, you know, a lot of that, it was a big gumbo, because you had groups like KMD, who were basically Nuwapian, but they was hanging with Grand Nubian. So that's, if you didn't know no better, you thought everything was the same. You know, like I said, I was young too. I grew up under a lot of this stuff. So I'm hearing You got Nubians hanging with 5%ers. So you got all this going on. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, coming from New York to the rest of the world. So, oh man, at the end of the day, the gods run this.
You know, I was listening to the new Blue in Exile. I called you yesterday to talk about it. It's fly. Did you listen to this yet?
I haven't heard it yet.
It's tough, man. It's a good project. I got Below the Heavens up here, and this is the closest thing I've heard from him that is released that gets me in that zone. And he shouts out Clarence 13X.
Right. We say a lot of father, but go ahead. It's all good.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure, you know, because Clarence 13X, for people who don't understand, is the founder of
At one point in time, his name was Clarence 13X when he was part of the Nation of Islam. We know him as today as Allah the Father.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of lost history when it comes to hip hop and the influence that Islam and specifically 5%er as well have had.
Everybody, even Everlast is, I think, a Muslim. You know what I'm saying? Everlast, because you know he was down. He come from that era, man. He was down with Divine Style and all that. It wasn't nothing but MC Search was hanging with the gods. Third Base, they was with the gods. You couldn't come through this thing without coming through us. Ice Cube. The Ice Cube we really, really started loving. Khalid Muhammad. So in some form of fashion, it has some kind of Islam to it. You know what I'm saying? And then we can go even deeper, like brothers like Sir Abu. You know, he has songs like Holy War. That's where you get, when we hug these mics, we get busy. Come and have a good time with G.O.D. You know what I'm saying? Sir Abu, Holy War. That's original 5%ers. Let's not forget, hey DJs, won't you hear that song? Maybe dancing. Was that Supreme Team? Those are 5%ers. Matter of fact, some of the first 5%ers on wax. You know what I'm saying? Actually, that is the first 5%ers on wax, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and even Russell Simmons will tell you the smartest people he ever met was 5%ers. Tupac said, I would have been a 5%er, but they couldn't break me out of jail. He said, "You God, get me out of these. Well, get me out of these cells, then."
Oh man, man! Just imagine if they did.
Oh man,
he'd be here right now.
I know, right?
Doing Tyler Perry movies.
Right. You know, but you know, even I'm looking at that Fugees record. You know, Black Thought. I remember one of my favorite Roots albums is the Illadelph Half-Life. Ain't nothing but 5% of jewels sprinkled throughout that album. Even Common. You know what I'm saying? Doom, MF Doom, which is Cam D. Mos Def's name is Yasin Bey. That's a Moorish name, okay? So it's like Islam has always been here. You know, for me, I look at it like this. And, you know, people get mad all they want. Islam means peace. In the Arabic language, right? We say peace as a greeting and when we as an exit, right? So if Islam is peace, that would mean that, okay, Islam, they say Islam is peace, right? And a Muslim is one who submits his will to Allah, right? You gotta ask first you ask yourself, who is Allah? You figure that out yourself. I ain't got time to be explaining to you who Allah. In my world, I'm Allah. Peace is my way of life, right? So if my way of life is peace and I do what it takes for me to have peace, that means I strive for righteousness. Everything that I do should be in contrast and coincide with me having a form of peace. That's having your family intact, you clean, your health is in order, right? That's what Islam is. The religion of Islam is the prescription of that way of life condensed in a book that they call the Quran in the Eastern world, right? If we're the original people, that means we have to be civilized in order for things to even get here. If the original man was not a civilized person, we wouldn't have a society today because, like I said in the beginning of this conversation, you can't build nothing with a weak foundation, right? So that means we were already living in a civilized society, right? The rest of the world outside of us had to learn civilization, sewer systems, not stinking, not, respect. I mean, you have to respect the women, you know what I'm saying? Put women in higher positions, making sure that things are right. That way of life of cultivation on the earth is Islam for me, because I look at things by definition, not by religion or tradition. I look at it for what it really is. Islam means peace. Everything in the universe is moving on that space, because if the universe wasn't in peace, we would have flew off this planet a long time ago. This planet spins at 1,037 1/3 miles per hour every day, and it ain't stopped. Because if it was to stop, we would float into the fucking atmosphere. It's bouncing off the harmony of the sun rays that's hitting this earth, spinning us like a vinyl on a record player. That's called the peace of the universe. If the universe if the universe hiccups, we're done for. Meaning that we're in perfect harmony with everything. You know what I'm saying? Our way of life is the way of the universe. You can analyze the universe and learn civilization just by analyzing the universe and its principles and whatever. And that's what we as original people did. I think at some point over the time, being here so long, we created different avenues and cultures of how to express these ways of life through art, culture, allegorical tales and shit like that, in order for you to learn things. I think somewhere down the line, it got weaponized and used against us. That same thing that we taught the world got used against us and weaponized in a form of these religions called Christianity, Judaism, and all that, and which has us confused. It's crazy because last night I went to sleep to the movie The Messenger about the Prophet Muhammad thousands of years ago. And the thing I always watch that movie. The thing I keep is interesting is that his people wasn't fucking with him. They didn't like Muhammad. Muhammad got chased out of Mecca. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for the black Hebrew, the king of Abyssinia, the Hebrew Israelites, there would be no Islam, because that's what it's telling. And that movie had to be okayed by all the high peoples of in the Islamic societies in the world, because you can't make no movie about Muhammad and it not be accurate. You get your head cut off no matter who the hell you is. So they show in the movie that the king of Abyssinia, they were African, and they spared Muhammad's life because what he was teaching was the same thing that they was teaching. And it was like, yo, how would he know about the Immaculate? Only way he would know about the Immaculate Conception of Christ is through our book, because we're the only ones that have that information. Yeah. So that's just telling me that when you look at it, like it was the same culture. The king said, there's no difference. The only difference between me and you, Muhammad, is no different than this little small line right here. We basically the same. And therefore, Islam got established. He came back to Medina, Mecca, established it. It's only one God, and the God is Allah. You feel what I'm saying? That's how I look at that. But at the end of the day, when you really look at it, we was always here. Even when you talk about the slave Bilal that does the first prayer, the first calls the Adhan, and when Muhammad established Islam, how would he already know the prayer if he wasn't a Muslim already? You feel what I'm saying? We always had Islam. It's just, which Islam do you have? Do you have the Hadith version with a bunch of tradition in it, or do you have the science? And then people like to you got Muslims that are so arrogant to be like we have the perfect book. Like if you had the perfect book, it wouldn't be these many authors. Because I could take you to a store with 6, 7 different Qurans in. Yeah, different authors. I could show you 2, 3 Qurans myself in my house. You understand what I'm saying? So let's not do that and act like they wasn't tampering with languages and different things, just like they tamper with Christianity. You know what I'm saying? it's a science to all of these religions. You know what I mean? So it's just how different people of the world got to it. They needed it in that form and fashion in order to be civilized. You know what I'm saying? We civilized the planets off of these things called religion, which is basically art form. I would like to call it our hip hop before hip hop. You know, creating a new religion, a new culture. That was our hip hop back in the day. Like, yo, if you eat these leaves for 90 days, this happens. If you're the first person to figure that out, that's your thing. You mark down the history. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like we took a lot of things in history in our past so literal that even the allegorical stories that we made up for people to learn other things off of, we took the story too damn literal and didn't get the science out of it. Kind of like you got people that argue with people that study Kemet and say Egyptians, they worship the sun and they worship false idols. That, if you really understand the science of even Kemet, that didn't have nothing to do with worshiping the sun. They use these archetypes and symbols for you to understand different things. It ain't no different than when you go in the kitchen and it says hot, cold, you know, this degree, that degree. You can either turn it this way, turn the fire up, or you can turn it down. It would be like if you had a big fire, little fire, and they had legs on them, right? Just say if I drew little fires on my oven and I put little legs on them. If you didn't have no sense, you're gonna think when you turn that little fire with legs is gonna come out. So you might not never turn the oven on.
Right.
If I don't explain to you, nah, bro, that ain't what that really means. It just means that when you turn the knob, the gas increases. So when you see it, the bigger and bigger, I just put the feet on there to give it a little characteristic. Right. But don't take it fucking literal that fire with legs is gonna come out my oven. You see what I'm saying?
It's like in the future when Avengers Infinity War is taken literally. they don't realize that.
Exactly.
I have two more quick questions for you. And then I really appreciate this, PA. One of them is, I feel like Jay Electronica's album earlier this year, along with Jay-Z on it, as prominently especially, brought back some Islamic 5%er Nation of Islam language into the lexicon at a time when I don't think we expected Jay-Z to be in that zone as much as he was, even though Jay Electronica's basically lived there for his entire career. What's your take on the impact that album had or did not have?
Man. Well, for me, see, I've been in this thing for so long. I always knew this about Jay-Z. I've been knew that he had knowledge himself. All you have to do is go back to the Originators video with him and Jaz-O, and you listen to the verse Jay-Z says. He's talking about Amorites and Nubians. This is Jay-Z talking this shit in '89. I think somewhere down the line he figured it out. I got to get this bread. I can't really have real power because, you know, how can I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I would say this. A lot of people have Jay-Z misconstrued. They don't really understand what he's doing. You know, everything is not going to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? You're going to do certain things in life. But I would say this, how he showed and proved with being a forward thinking straight, like I'm going to really be that business mogul dude, but I'm gonna have knowledge of self, but I'm not gonna kiss none of you people's asses at the same time. I'm gonna make certain business moves that even my own people are gonna question, like, what the hell, right? But it says, if you're gonna be God, you gotta be God in all worlds, high and low. You're gonna find God in all walks of life, right? Jay Electronica. It's not really time for me to speak about Jay Electronica yet because the world is not, everything that's happening right now, God, I just say it like this, man, it's supposed to be happening. His name is Jay Electronica for a reason, because everything happens in time, on time, all the time. Some brothers like him, some brothers don't, because, you know, Well, the people I roll with, they not with the whole Muslim God thing. Me, I don't really. It doesn't really. I don't really care. I hope we all be able to get together. You know what I'm saying? J Electronica is definitely needed in this gumbo of hip hop that we have going on right now. Any kind of influence to get the babies to want to be something other than a fucking purse wearing, lipstick wearing, emotional crying. I don't know if I'm coming or going ass cat. I would much rather see a bunch of J Electronicas, right? It's high sciences. See, the thing the things that I know, I don't say because that would be me giving steak to babies. I know some things that just even people that study what I study don't know that's going on. And it's a higher realm of even what we dealing with, G. We doing this, we building, but it's people that really get up 24/7 every day to do esoteric things in this realm of reality that we living in. I'll say this, man. J Electronica, Jay-Z, that is needed. We just need more of that. We need more of that. You know what I'm saying? I like the way that they put it. It wasn't like over preachy. It wasn't, it was digestible. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's digestible, it's good. It's good for me. You know what I'm saying? But Islam, having knowledge of self, that's never going to play out. And I think the kids, once they get it and understand the more knowledge you have, the more control you'll have over your own life. Because if you know the inner workings of things, you can do it to how you see fit. You know what I'm saying? If you don't know how to drive a stick, how the hell you plan on jumping in a Lamborghini?
Right. Or fix a car.
Or even fix a car.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
My final question, I appreciate this, man, again, is with everything you've seen, all the places you've traveled, you spent so much time around the world in Africa, you come from Fresno, you've been in the Bay, all across the globe. What still surprises you about hip hop?
What surprises me about hip hop? That I can still be surprised about hip hop. Facts. And in that I learned, see, the thing is, I learned how to find the type of music I like a long time ago. So I'm still, how you got the Nas trapped in the 90s niggas. It's not that I'm trapped in the 90s. I'm just trapped in how I receive my music. I don't go to the same avenues that we did when we was kids for my music, because if I was to do that, I would get my feelings hurt, right? So that's why you have a bunch of dudes. Cause see, you like me, you do this for a living, so you're gonna know. But I'm pretty sure, cause you went to college and all that, so you probably get it. It's probably even more worse for you. How many dudes our age that probably knew about all the hot shit when you was, in your 21, 20s, teens, that don't know shit now because life got to them, right? They used to depend on like probably BET, maybe a college radio station, or a certain underground DJ that just ain't around no more. Those avenues now, it's like certain people's Bandcamp, Instagram, Twitter. If you're not in there, you're not gonna really see the transformation of the new shit. So a lot of people get lost on even how to find the music. It's not that the music that we love is not happening. It's just that the avenues where it used to go through, it's not necessarily that anymore. And I think if people want to find the good shit, they gotta go through the channels. You know what I'm saying? Like shit, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have Zoom. But this is a hip hop world. Somebody's gonna put me on the shit because I'm involved in this culture. But if I worked at like Amazon, just put boxes up 8 hours a day, and I was tired after work, and all I wanted to do was eat a fucking sandwich or a hot plate and watch Netflix, I'm gonna miss out on all the new Sauce Heist, Rome Streets, Al Davino, Estinac, Shay Noir. It's a lot of people that still haven't found out who she is, but they're starting to see now. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it takes a while. You know, it's a lot of hip hop that still hasn't even been discovered on a urban level that is actually urban, but you got people that's not urban supporting more than the people that, you know what I mean? Because they haven't been exposed to it yet. It's kind of like, it's kind of like somebody not knowing about like Jamaican food or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still have people that never had, I have homies that still never had Jamaican food. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm not sure they should be your homies.
Exposed to. See how, to you, jerk chicken is normal, right?
Right.
Where I'm from, that ain't normal. So a person be like, what's that? Like, jerk chicken, some people might still, what's that? You ever had some Jamaican food? What's that? Because all they know is what they know. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's like a person, if I tell you, you know, I still know a lot of people that never even had Thai food, that like the only Asian food they only had was Chinese food. Never had Japanese food, because in their mind, they think sushi is just like fish moving on your plate that you got to eat while it's alive, not knowing that, nah, bro, it ain't just about sushi. You can get California roll. You like salmon, right? You get it cooked. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know that, you know what I'm saying? But if you haven't been exposed to something, it is what it is. Because I remember the first time my ghetto ass had some Thai food, and I was like, nigga, it's something better than chow, man. Get the fuck out of here. This pad thai shit, well, I must have ate pad thai for like 2 months straight. You know what I'm saying? When I first had it, when I was just in my 20s, though, you know what I'm saying?
Yo,
like,
I'm laughing because I did the same thing.
Right, because all I knew was greasy ass chow mein with the crunchy ass noodles with the slimy noodles. The crunchy ones on the top and the slimy ones on the bottom. That's all I knew. That's what they served at lunch. You get that pad thai, you like, somebody black made this. The first time I ate that pad thai, I was like, yo, why does it taste like all the nigga elements in one that I need? You know what I'm saying? But if you're not exposed to something, G, you just won't know how good something is. You might think it's weird. That's just what it is. So all those watching this, hop out of your comfort zone.